This animal is responsible for more human fatalities than any other species in the US and causes billions of dollars in damage to agriculture, urban areas, and health. The white-tailed deer, a seemingly peaceful and harmless creature, is responsible every year for over 1.5 million car accidents, leading to more than 200 human casualties and thousands of injuries. The annual cost, a staggering $8 billion. States like Pennsylvania, Michigan, and New York are among the hardest hit, where deer-related collisions are an everyday reality, earning the white-tailed deer the title of the leading cause of wildlife-related fatalities in the country. And it does not stop there.
We've gone from maybe a 10% loss to the deer on this field. This past year we lost about 50% of the crop to the deer on this field.
Deer are also a plague on American agriculture, munching up 5 to 10% of crops each year, costing nearly $2 billion. Beyond agriculture, deer overpopulation is decimating forests. In heavily affected areas, up to 40% of saplings are unable to grow, threatening entire ecosystems that depend on this habitat. But deer are not content with just destroying entire ecosystems. They are moving into neighborhoods, causing extensive damage to the urban landscape, and even threatening air traffic.
And 5320, you're showing you're trailing some kind of vapor or something off the right wing.
We hit a deer. All right, thanks for your help. We'll be waiting for your instructions.
Airports across the country spend millions to prevent deer from wandering onto runways, with several near-catastrophic incidents reported each year. Yet the most alarming concern is chronic wasting disease, also known as the zombie deer disease, a fatal disease that causes brain damage, spreading like wildfire and threatening the health of the rest of the wildlife population. The first signs are behavioral change, weight loss, walking in repetitive patterns, salivation, and teeth grinding. This disease has spread to over 30 states and hundreds of counties and cost millions in monitoring and control efforts. With these figures, it's clear the stakes couldn't be higher and the need for solution had never been more pressing. One of the earliest strategies to stop the booming deer population was simple. More hunters, more deer taken down, right? Well, sort of. Hunters being hunters mostly went after the biggest bucks, leaving the ladies, the ones doing all the baby making, free to multiply. And in cities and suburban areas where the problem was worst, hunting was often banned, so the deer just kept on multiplying. Next, authorities tried to relocate the deer. But there's the thing, deer don't exactly follow orders. They can move up to 10 miles a day, and many of them just hoofed it right back to where they started. Plus, relocation permits only authorize white-tailed deer to be relocated between October and March to avoid disrupting their mating and birthing seasons, limit the spread of the CWD, and minimize potential damage to plants and vegetation at the relocation site. Relocation turned out to be an expensive exercise in fertility. Then there was the reintroduction of predators like wolves and mountain lions. This strategy worked effectively in places like Yellowstone National Park, where it helped restore a balanced ecosystem. But when it was proposed to other areas, people weren't too thrilled about having wolves in their backyards. Concerns over the safety of human and livestock, plus the logistical nightmare of reintroducing predators to densely populated areas, made this approach a non-starter for most regions. Some states have even tried to sterilize the deer, a non-lethal approach that seemed like the perfect solution at the time. But the deer population is simply too large, and deer are too elusive. It quickly became like trying to empty the ocean with a spoon. Sterilization quickly turned into an expensive, time-consuming logistical challenge. Despite the range of strategies employed, the deer population continued to expand, and the problem they caused only intensified. But you might ask, how did we get here in the first place? Well, my friend, that's a very long story. But we will try to fit under a minute. Early 1600s, North America deer are everywhere, but so are wolves, bears, mountain lions, coyotes, and well, hungry humans. Everyone's doing their part to keep things in balance. But by the late 1800s, we have cleared the forests, taken out the predators and their prey. Surprise, surprise, deer are suddenly an endangered species. Fast forward to early 1900s, we slap on some hunting regulation, passed the 1937 Pittman-Robertson Act, officially known as the Federal Aid Wildlife Restoration Act, taxing firearms, ammunition, and archery equipment to fund habitat restoration, wildlife research, and hunter education, and boom, deer are back in business. By the 1950s, suburban America becomes a deer open buffet. With no predators in sight, And now, there are 30 millions of these guys roaming around. Today, these deer are on a mission: destroy your backyard and to eat every young tree in sight. In some places, 40% of saplings never make it past the all-you-can-eat phase. Native plants are waving the white flag. Expert estimates that a forest can sustain 8 to 12 deer per square mile. United States Department of Agriculture reports in some states like Pennsylvania 189 deer per square mile, 20 times the population forests are able to support. So authorities had to find a better solution, such as culling, which is just a better organized large-scale hunt. Parks like Catoctin Mountain in Maryland hold annual controlled hunts to keep forests from turning into deserts. Authorities also tried making their favorite salad bar less appetizing by planting trees they hate. But deer don't stop at forests. Some regions might lose up to 25% of their crops. Farmers started fencing in their fields. Some are even hiring hunters like security guards for their crops. And on top of that, use deer repellents on their fruits and crops. Because again, no one dictates to a deer where they can or cannot go. This shift brought them closer to human activity, leading to a surge in deer vehicle collision we see today. Roads that sliced through their newly favored territories became deadly crossing points. Deer, following their instinct to migrate and search for food, inadvertently turned highways into hazard zones. States started building wildlife crossings with adequate fencing, herding the animals on the right direction. Like on Idaho Highway 21, these deer bridges are very effective and have cut collision by up to 90%. But as deer population exploded and moved closer to human habitat, so did the ticks. Deer act as a predominant host for the adult black-legged tick, which vectors Lyme disease. Warmer winters and increased suburban sprawl have only made the matter worse, creating the perfect condition for ticks to thrive and multiply. 30,000 confirmed cases a year. To combat this growing threat, authorities rolled out public health campaigns to educate the public on how to protect themselves, like avoiding tick-prone areas, using repellents, doing those awkward but essential tick checks.
Check your hair, check your armpits and underwear, check your knees, check your feet, elbows and toes are places ticks will go.
On the ground, tick control efforts are ramping up too, with strategies ranging from targeted pesticide use to introducing natural predators of ticks, like certain bird species, to keep the tick population in check. Authorities have thrown just about everything at the deer problem, and some of the strategies have been very effective, but they haven't come cheap. Culling, the most direct approach, involves reducing deer population through organized hunts. But here's the catch: it's controversial and costly. Public opposition to culling is strong, with many people uncomfortable with the idea of killing large numbers of animals. On top of that, it's expensive. Local authorities and parks spend millions on this operation each year, not just on hunt themselves, but on the logistics, monitoring, and public relation campaigns to justify them. Habitat modification, such as planting trees less appealing to deer to prevent them from eating the saplings, isn't a one-time expense. It requires continuous maintenance. And then there is the ecological cost. Altering habitat to deter deer can have unintended consequences on other species, potentially disrupting the ecosystem. And for those impressive overpasses and underpasses designed to keep deer off the road, building a single wildlife crossing can cost millions of dollars. And that's just construction. Maintaining the structures, ensuring they remain effective, and integrating them into existing road systems adds even more to the bill. With all the strategies in place, the question remains: has the deer situation been brought under control? Well, it's complicated. Although very costly in some areas, the measures have worked. Deer vehicle collision have dropped to a record low, where wildlife crossings are in place. Combined with culling and habitat modification measures, some states have managed to stabilize their population in specific regions. And in places where sterilization has been rigorously applied, there has been a significant slowdown in population growth. The strategies implemented have bought time, but they're not a permanent fix. Still, the deer population in many parts of the country remains stubbornly high. The cost of these interventions continues to climb, and the debate over the ethics and effectiveness of culling and sterilization rages on. This more drastic solutions are useful but are not one-size-fit. Habitat modifications, for example, might create just as many problems as it solves. Looking ahead, adaptation will be key. Advances in technology, like smart road systems that can detect wildlife in real time, offer promising ways to reduce collisions. Population control, research into more effective and scalable sterilization methods continues. Scientists are exploring new approaches that could make sterilization a more viable option for managing large deer population without the need for culling. But perhaps most importantly, there is a growing recognition that this isn't just a wildlife issue, it's a human one too. Urban planning that takes wildlife into account, better public awareness, and more comprehensive management strategies are all part of the future. A future where human and deer can coexist more safely and sustainably.